Deep in the wilderness, where few dare to venture, a rescue mission unlike any other was about to unfold. What started as a routine wildlife survey would become a battle against time itself, where courage would be tested and lives would hang in the balance. The morning mist still clung to the forest floor when the distress call came through. A massive rhinoceros, one of nature's most powerful creatures, had become trapped in a deadly situation that would require every ounce of skill and bravery the rescue team possessed. But this wasn't just any ordinary rescue mission. What they discovered at the scene would challenge everything they thought they knew about wildlife emergencies. Picture this: you're deep in the jungle, miles from civilization, when you come across a sight that stops you cold. A 2-ton rhinoceros, one of the world's most formidable animals, completely helpless. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. The threat wasn't what you'd expect. It wasn't poachers, or injury, or disease. It was something far more sinister, something that would require a level of courage that most people never have to face. The rescue team had dealt with countless wildlife emergencies before. They'd saved elephants from mud pits, freed leopards from snares, and relocated countless dangerous predators away from human settlements. But nothing in their years of experience had prepared them for what they were about to encounter. This mission would push them to their absolute limits and force them to make split-second decisions that could mean the difference between life and death. When the team arrived at the coordinates, the scene before them defied belief. The rhinoceros, magnificent bull weighing over 4,000 pounds, lay motionless on the forest floor. Its powerful legs, capable of propelling it at speeds of 35 miles per hour, were completely useless. Its thick, armor-like skin, evolved over millions of years to protect against the sharpest thorns and the fiercest predators, offered no defense against this particular threat. Coiled around the massive animal like a living rope was the largest python any of them had ever seen. The serpent, measuring over 20 feet in length and weighing hundreds of pounds, had wrapped itself around the rhinoceros with deadly precision. Every breath the rhino took caused the python to tighten its grip, creating a horrifying cycle that was slowly crushing the life out of one of nature's giants. The team leader surveyed the scene with growing alarm. Time was running out. With each passing minute, the python's constricting coils were cutting off more blood flow, raising the rhino's blood pressure to dangerous levels. They knew from experience that victims of python attacks didn't die from being crushed. They died when their hearts simply couldn't beat against the mounting pressure. But how do you safely separate two of nature's most dangerous creatures when both are fighting for survival? The rhinoceros, despite its weakened state, still possessed enough strength to seriously injure anyone who got too close. And the python, sensing the approaching humans, began to coil even tighter around its massive prey. The rescue coordinator called for immediate backup. They would need specialized equipment, veterinary support, and a carefully coordinated plan to have any chance of success. Every second counted, but rushing in without proper preparation could result in multiple casualties. As additional team members arrived on scene, they began to formulate a strategy that seemed almost impossible. They would need to simultaneously sedate the rhinoceros to prevent it from injuring the rescue team, while also finding a way to force the python to release its death grip without causing further harm to either animal. The equipment was unloaded with military precision. Tranquilizer guns, protective gear, restraining devices, and emergency medical supplies were distributed among the team members. Each person knew their role, but they also knew that no amount of training could fully prepare them for what they were about to attempt. The clock was ticking, and both animals were showing signs of severe distress. The rhinoceros's breathing had become labored and irregular, while the python showed no signs of loosening its deadly embrace. The veterinarian stepped forward, tranquilizer gun in hand, butetated. His one wrong move could send the already stressed rhinoceros into a panic, potentially crushing team members or causing the python to constrict even tighter. The dart would need to be perfectly placed to take effect quickly without startling either animal. Meanwhile, the python expert examined the massive serpent from a safe distance. This wasn't just any python. The sheer size and positioning told a story of calculated hunting behavior. The snake had likely been tracking the rhinoceros for hours, waiting for the perfect moment to strike when the massive herbivore came to drink at the nearby water source. "We need to start at the tail," the snake specialist called out to the team. "If we can get leverage on the end section, we might be able to begin the unwrapping process. But everyone needs to be ready. The moment we start, this python is going to fight back with everything it has." The team formed a perimeter around the struggling animals. Each member carried long poles and protective shields, knowing that both creatures could lash out unpredictably. The rhinoceros, despite its weakened condition, still possessed devastating power in its horn and legs. The first attempt began with surgical precision. 2 team members approached from opposite sides while others maintained watch positions. The goal was to secure the python's tail section and begin the painstaking process of loosening its grip. But as soon as human hands made contact with the snake's muscular body, everything changed. The python's response was immediate and violent. Its massive head whipped around, seeking the source of the disturbance. The rhinoceros, feeling the sudden movement, let out a distressed bellow that echoed through the forest. Both animals were now in full panic mode. "Back off! Back off!" the team leader shouted as the situation spiraled. The python had actually tightened its coils in response to the interference, and the rhinoceros was struggling with renewed desperation. What had been a controlled rescue attempt was quickly becoming a life-or-death battle. The veterinarian made a split-second decision. The tranquilizer dart flew through the air, finding its mark on the rhinoceros's thick hide. But the sedative would take precious minutes to take effect, and they didn't have minutes to spare. That's when the team implemented their backup plan. Using specially designed snake hooks and restraining equipment, multiple team members simultaneously attacked different sections of the python's body. The key was to overwhelm the serpent's ability to maintain its grip, while preventing it from redirecting its aggression toward the rescue team. The battle was unlike anything witnessed in wildlife rescue operations. The python, sensing mortal danger, began to thrash wildly while maintaining its death grip on the rhinoceros. Team members dodged and weaved, using their equipment to maintain pressure on the snake while staying clear of both animals' defensive strikes. Slowly, inch by inch, the python's grip began to weaken. The coordinated assault was working, but at tremendous risk. One team member narrowly avoided the snake's striking head, while another was knocked backward by the rhinoceros's weak butaning, still dangerous leg movements. As the tranquilizer began to take effect on the rhinoceros, the team pressed their advantage. With the massive herbivore now calmer, they could focus entirely on the python without fear of being trampled or gored. The final moments of the extraction required every person working in perfect synchronization. The python, exhausted from the prolonged struggle and sensing defeat, finally began to release its coils. But even in its weakened state, the serpent remained dangerous, capable of one final desperate strike. With one final coordinated effort, the last coil slipped away from the rhinoceros's massive frame. The python, defeated but alive, retreated into the dense undergrowth, while the rescue team immediately turned their attention to the weakened rhino. Emergency veterinary care began instantly as they checked vital signs and administered life-saving treatments. Against all odds, both animals survived this extraordinary encounter. The rhinoceros, after hours of intensive care, slowly regained its strength and was eventually released back into its territory. The python, unharmed despite the confrontation, disappeared into the wilderness where it belonged. This rescue operation pushed every limit imaginable. It required split-second decisions, flawless teamwork, and courage that most people will never have to summon. When two of nature's most powerful forces collided, it took human determination and expertise to prevent a tragedy that would have claimed one of our planet's most endangered creatures. In the end, this mission proved something remarkable about the people who dedicate their lives to wildlife conservation. When faced with the impossible, when every instinct screams to run away, these heroes run toward danger instead. They risk everything because they understand that every life matters, whether it weighs 4,000 pounds or slithers through the forest floor. This is what courage looks like when compassion meets action and lives hang in the balance.